right, so we're here with Gregg Crisp, a candidate for Cheyenne City Council in Ward 1. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm Brian Martin. I'm managing editor here at the Wyoming Tribune Eagle.
I'm Sharon Fain with Black Hills Energy.
Bob Feck, Cheyenne Animal Shelter.
Hi.
So again, Greg, welcome. What specific issues or concerns caused you to run for the City Council this year?
There's numerous. My top two maybe are the landfill. That's an issue that has been constantly put off for a decade or more. Right now, Public Works is not even going to have enough money to renew their leases on equipment just because the way that whole situation has been handled. We've got to get the expansion done. If we don't, it's going to end up costing the taxpayers and the city a lot more money. Actually, it is costing more because we haven't done it by now. It's going to take about $12 million to get that expansion done. I'm hoping it will be on the sixth penny. It was last time and got kicked off the list. So I'm hoping it will be. If not, though, we have got to find some revenue streams to get that done. It's just super important. And I think, it can be a regional landfill. Burns's landfill is full or almost full. So we can be bringing in some revenue from outside sources to our landfill. And the expansion should last about 40 years, I believe. Pardon me, 40 years, 50 years. I forget exactly, sorry. Anyway, it's a must-do project. Roads and sidewalks have got to be priorities, but we've got to take that beyond fifth penny monies, other monies. We've got to find other revenue sources to do a little bit more than we are doing. We are a pretty pedestrian-friendly city. People love the Greenway, but our sidewalks are horrendous. If you look all throughout downtown, neighborhoods are chipped curbs, there's torn up sidewalks. We don't enforce the sidewalk code. That needs to be done. Even the cities dropping the ball when they overlay a street. They should be going ahead and putting in curb cuts, and they're not always doing that. There are some, but we have got to really look at finding more revenue for roads. It's really important. Of course, the downtown area is always been a huge priority for me. I think we need to get tough on these building owners that have let their property sit vacant for years. We do have nuisance ordinances we can enforce. We need to start doing that. These guys, whether they're using them for tax benefits or whatever, needs to stop. We got to fill buildings. We got to clean up downtown. I mean, there's been progress, but not near enough. And of course, I support the West Edge project fully. I want to see us take steps to implement that. It's going to be a long-range project, but we gotta just start. And the downtown core plan, those are some of my biggest issues.
Great, thank you. What qualifications do you bring to the table that will help you serve as a council member?
Well, I think, and I don't want to sound cocky or anything, but what I've already done, the I-180 project on South Greeley corridor, getting that project started and done in under 2.5 years. That was the pedestrian pathway between Deming and Fox Farm. I was able to work with not only state, but county and city officials and bring them all together and get that done. Another one, I initiated the Universal Access Playground back in 2011. At that time, there was nothing on the drawing board for that. So I got Parks and Rec on board, we brought in consultants, got a conceptual plan done, pricing done. At that time, it was much smaller scale than the scope of the project now. But I wrote grants, and I turned that project over in 2013 when I left the Mayor's Council for People with Disabilities. But I think that project was huge in getting it started. I've also the last 2 years have been involved in the Persian Boulevard Complete Streets project, specifically trying to get a crosswalk at Pershing and Duff. As you know, Wednesday, the Finance Committee did approve $110,000 to go forward with the project. So Monday, we're hoping to have the full approval of City Council. That's a huge safety issue, and it needed addressing. And I've been on that from the beginning. I was on the committee that hired the consultants. So I again, that sounds cocky, but I have a proven record of getting things done. And I want to continue that. Also, you know, my ability to work with city staff. And I know they're not on everything. I've been able to work with them.
Great. Greg, what do you believe is the biggest challenge facing the city of Cheyenne right now? And once you identify that biggest challenge, can you name 1 or 2 others as well?
The biggest challenge is always the budget and trying to prioritize that. And I think the city council needs to be more involved in that process. They get it after it's done. They need to have more input into it, in lining out the budget. I mean, they're the ones that approve it. They need to really be a part of that whole process. Um, that's a challenge every year, a huge one. I think, of course, the landfill, the roads, um, beautifying our city, uh, making us attractive, drawing business in. Um, it's hard to say what's the most important. Um, I just fall back on roads and budget. Those are gonna be the top two.
Greg, can you please describe your vision for Cheyenne?
My vision is, well, I'll try to sum it up in less than a 2-hour comment. That this is an attractive, safe, welcoming place to live. That people feel like they can go out into their communities and that there are amenities for them to enjoy, that they feel safe taking their children out, and that we are a secure city, not only with physical threats, whatever, but we're secure in our tax base, our revenue, the city's secure in its budgeting. That the city, well, is a lot more business friendly. Trying to get things done right now. I'll use a children's museum for an example. That's a tremendously hard thing to get done. Trying to work with the city in obtaining that land, the whole process was unreal. So I have a part of my vision is to streamline that whole process. We need to be welcoming improvements and new business and new things to our community and not hindering. And right now we're hindering. So part of my vision is to welcome that kind of thing.
Greg, what do you think the community needs that it doesn't have right now, and how would you make that happen as a council member?
Well, I would like to see a rec center. The community has voted that down twice. But I think that once we had it, they would grasp how neat it is to have. And I'm not really sure how to make that happen. I guess we've got to win the voters over to that idea. And so we need to promote what's good about that. And just do a little more promotion than what has been done in the past. Compare it to other cities, compare how it's benefited the community. the city the voters want amenities like parks, the greenway. So we need to keep working on those. And so with that, Parks and Rec needs more money. We've got to find revenue sources for that. I guess that's it. That's really a complex question. There's so many needs. It's hard to say. Gee, yeah, we need a landfill. I mean, do the voters see the importance of that? Maybe, maybe not. Do they see the importance of the park? Yeah. So,
Greg, what are your priorities for economic development and how would you make that happen?
well, you know, I don't know. To be honest, I don't. You know, economic development is kind of falls in the mayor's lap, or if I'm understanding the question right, or leads or the chamber, as far as bringing new business in and developing more revenue. But I believe city council needs to be more proactive with that. They need to get involved, and if they see a need, they got to look at ways to fill that need. Just like working with downtown and trying to enforce some of the nuisance laws and get these guys to upgrade their properties and open them up for business. That is something city council can do. So economic development would be, my plan would be to enforce laws we have on the books, to get these properties doing what they should be doing, and to offer, you know, there's tax incentives, there's loans from the Wyoming Business Council, there's all kinds of resources out there that city council should be aware of and be able to pass on to potential business people to bring in business and increase our revenue and so forth.
Sir, you mentioned that the city council should get involved in some of the economic development. Do you mean by encouraging city staff, by directing city staff, or by actually trying to contact some of the potential businesses?
Both. I think city council needs to offer suggestions to city staff, give them ideas of what to look at. And if there's a need for a certain type of business somewhere in the city, yeah, why can't we go out to potential businesses and say, hey, have you looked at Cheyenne? Yeah, we should do both.
Thank you.
Greg, how do you feel about the use of taxpayer money for amenities like the Children's Museum?
I fully support that. If the voters approve it, I think it should be put on a ballot. But I have no problem with that. I think the Children's Museum needs to do all they can to raise private donations or grants, whatever. But as a good thing for the city, filling that hole, we need to help out. I don't have an issue with that.
The development of the city-owned Belvoir Ranch has been discussed quite a bit lately, including opening it for recreational purposes. How important do you think that is, and where would it fit in your priorities for city funding?
Well, that ranch has been a drain on city revenue ever since it was acquired. The original plan was to make it a landfill. And, almost from the beginning, I said, that's not gonna happen. It can't happen. It's way too much money. And there's wildlife, things like that. I think it'd be a great recreational area. Whether the city handles that, I think it's a little too much property for the city to manage. I'd rather see it privately owned and operated. If that were a recreational area, that would fall into Parks and Rec's scope of management, and they're already overwhelmed. That's just take on too much for them. So, I think it should be turned over to a private entity and opened up for recreational use.
Gregg, what are your budget or savings priorities? So what do you think the city should spend its money on, and how much should it be saving?
Well, I think we need to continue to, I'm not even sure what the current administration's savings into the rainy day fund is. I think we need to allow enough that we can meet any emergency that may arise without being involved in a current budget. It's hard for me to say how much, depending on current revenue and current priorities, current needs. It's hard to put a figure on that. We'll throw out, 10% at least. And I'm saying that without saying being involved in next year's budget, knowing the needs and revenues. The city needs to prioritize its budget accordingly to what it's meant to do, and that's provide sanitation, provide roads, provide amenities like parks, provide police, fire, things like that. I think a lot of the city's monies are prioritized way too much towards personnel and that I know we've had a study done on that. I don't feel like they've really done anything with that. I think we could probably tighten that budget a little more and put that money towards things like roads.
Greg, what do you think about the recent decision to provide a pay raise for city employees across the board using dollars from the reserves? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, and that is a flat amount for everyone, which I don't agree with. I think everyone deserves a raise. However, I'm really a guy that believes you get a raise if you merit a raise. Someone that is working diligently at their job deserves a raise. Someone that's not doesn't. So as far as just giving a blanket raise to everyone, I oppose. I think your department heads need to look at their people, and there needs to be an evaluation done before anyone gets a raise.
Greg, what are your priorities for the next sixth penny ballot that we're probably going to vote on in May? What are your personal priorities for that ballot?
Landfill, without a doubt. I would probably, it's not gonna happen, but I'd like to see some money put on there just to complete the funding for the playground, which is only about 250,000. So that's not gonna happen, and it probably shouldn't. I think we definitely need to look at the Christensen overpass. That keeps getting neglected. That's important for safety. I would really like to see some 6 penny money go to the South Cheyenne Gateway, which means trees, planters, the whole thing we've done on Linkway. And that's a hard issue because YDOT owns that roadway, but the city borders it, the county borders it. So nobody wants to put any money out there into it. They want the other person to do it. So why not get on the 6 penny as a project? Let's get the South Greeley corridor beautified. I mean, it looks like trash. So that could be something, a rec center again. That's it for me. The landfill, yeah, so.
Greg, how do you feel about the possibility of an anti-discrimination ordinance? Do you think that's something that the city council should pass?
Well, I think there are anti-discrimination laws that the state already has. Whether we define that more, I don't see taking it further. There should be no discrimination based on anyone, period. But I think it's pretty much covered in state statute. The city just needs to follow that.
Sir, there's some fifth penny sales tax money and some general fund money that goes to the United Way for distribution to a number of agencies. Are you familiar with that funding?
Yeah.
And do you support that funding or not support that funding?
I do support it because voters like having it done for them. Rather, I think that cities should participate in that. That is a way of helping our community. Because they do things the city can't do. And I have no problem with us helping them.
Thank you.
Greg, can I go back really quickly? We're about to wrap up, but back to downtown really quickly. If some extra funding became available and you were a member of the city council, would you direct that money more toward the downtown core or toward the west edge? How would you handle it?
You gotta make me choose. Probably right now towards the downtown core, because that is where the majority of our tourists go. And we rely on their tax revenue. So that'd be first. Yeah. But the west edge, close second.
Guys have anything else? Greg, I think we're wrapping up with our questions. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
I just want people to know that I'm very accessible. You can look at my website, greggforcheyenne.com. Email me, call me. I will always respond. And just thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks.